Do you want to know how parents can help students be successful in school? I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach all over the world about parenting, good communication, how to build strong family bonds, child development, and education, all through the lens of the principle self-government. And in this video, we're talking about a parent's role in school success. Academic success starts at home. That's right. What you do in the walls of your home can impact your child in so many ways. Personally, socially, spiritually, and physically, as well as academically. So, what does it look like to strengthen a child and help them to be successful at school? Some of the things entail working with the school in a specific way, and other things are just regular home life. So in this video, let's talk about those two different areas of helping children succeed in school. So first, let's talk about things specifically related to school. So if you want your child to be successful with academics, they need to have a vision of what that even means for them. Why are they learning in the first place? What is this learning all about? Why do I have to go to school? Or maybe if you homeschool, why do I have to engage in homeschool? So what do I need to tell my child so that they can understand the vision of education? So what is the vision of education? Is it to get a job? No, it's more than that. People talk about that all the time, but if money is the point of our life, well, then we don't have a lot of point. The point of our life usually is about the people. It's about purpose. It's about why we're here and some good that we're supposed to accomplish. So I would talk to my children about how in order to be free and have the skills that they need to accomplish their purpose in life, that they need to have some of these academic tools in their tool belt. They need to have a breadth of knowledge about a lot of different topics so that they can discuss things with anyone, so that they can be a leader. So no matter where your child attends school, it's important for you to help them have a reason why they're going to care about it. One of the best things that I did as a parent was introduce my children to the phases of learning. So there was a book actually that I read years ago called A Thomas Jefferson Education, and it talked about the different phases of learning. And in that book, it mentioned how it's not really about the grades that a person's going through, but it's about the phases that they're in. So when they're in ages 0 to 8, they're learning what's right and wrong, good and bad, true and false. They learn it through work and through play. And a lot of times learning is play and work is like manual labor, where they're learning how to use their body and organize things and stuff like that. And then ages 8 to 12, they're learning a lot of different scholarly skills, but they're kind of flitting from thing to thing. They start a book, they don't finish it. They start a project, they don't finish it. They're reading and sampling lots of different things, having lots of different experiences. They might play sports and do dance and do, different dramatic things and arts and crafts, but they're not going to necessarily stay with all of it. They're just sampling the world. And then when they get to age like 12 or so, I mean, all of these stages are like give or take 100 years. Some people never go through them all the way. So once they get to age 12, usually maybe 12 to 18, then they study a lot longer. They study anywhere from 8 to 12 hours a day. And their social time sometimes is a little bit less. They have to schedule it in a little bit more. They're putting more effort into their academics. They're writing more, they're reading more, they're carrying on big scholar projects. So they're really engaged in more academic pursuits. Do your children know that these are the phases? And do they know the phases that even come after those phases? Because there's other ones that come, but I'm not going to talk about those here. If they know the phases of learning that they're going to go through, then hopefully they can start to see how their progression is stacking up and if they need help with something. So another thing that you can do to help your child be successful in school is to make sure that you have a good relationship with the teacher. Make sure that you have conversations with the teacher. If the teacher does not fit with your values, and if they're going to be contrary to things that your family believes in, then it could be that you have to switch teachers. So keep that in mind. Stay in the driver's seat on that. You don't want a teacher who would pull your child away from you, especially if your child is not ready to question things that the teacher is saying. When your child is young, they don't question a teacher. When they're older, they might. And in that case, it might be a little bit different about teacher selection. So be selective, find the schools and the teachers that match you, your family, the way you live, and those types of things. Another thing you'll want to do with the school is you'll want to make sure that you are getting regular updates on behavioral things with your child. Sometimes schools wait until there's a really big problem before they tell the parents that there's a behavioral issue at school. Hopefully you can just have a talk with your teacher and say, hey, if there's ever anything, just drop me a little email. I really want to know, because we're working on these skills of self-government, which is, what this channel is all about, learning how to follow instructions, accept no answers, accept consequences, disagree appropriately. So you can tell them we're working on that, and if there's ever anything that comes up that was a behavior problem, I'd love to talk to them about it so that it doesn't become a bigger problem. So if you just kind of reach out, show that teacher you're there to support, you care, those types of things are going to really go far when it comes to the teacher. Also, that way, if your child is also missing on assignments or stuff like that, you can also reach out to the teacher really easily and say, hey, how are we doing on assignments? Have we been missing anything? And if the child has a history of missing things, you might have to have a little bit of a logging sheet, like a regular email each day, or a little piece of paper that comes home with the child to tell what they're supposed to be doing, something like that to keep in connection with the school. Now that's half of what we're talking about here, but what I really wanted to hit on, probably the most important advice that I could give you, is what actually happens at home. So if you've subscribed to this channel already, then you know that this channel is all about the skills and principles of self-government. I just mentioned a few of them just a moment before. When you teach your child the skills of self-government and you create a really great self-governing home culture, your child will be so much more successful in their academics because they'll have better work ethic, hopefully a better ability to focus. Hopefully they'll also be able to honestly and deliberately discuss things more because you will have been doing that with them all the way along. Now, one thing that children really need to develop is a work ethic that is taught at home. So when you're working with your children, alongside them, training them, and then also giving them the opportunity to do some solo work on their own with different chores and things like that, then they actually will develop an ability to problem solve. That's going to help them with math and science and all their just normal deductive reasoning. If they are like building forts and games as well as working, they are going to learn tons of tactical skills and scientific things that will help them contextually understand so many things in their world of school. If you create a culture in your home of doing more, discussing more, disciplining more, so having your tolerances low, not micromanaging, just low tolerances so that you do the corrections that are needed. But if you're doing more with your children, you're doing hands-on stuff with them in the hours where they're out of school, not even necessarily academic, but like playing games, building fences, painting doll houses, making models, whatever, doing all those types of things, your children will actually get ahead in school. They will find school easier for them because they're doing problem solving with you. One of the worst things that you could do is just put your child in front of a screen. Sure, they all want the screen. It seems great. We may even tell ourselves they work so hard in the day, they need some downtime. But I'll tell you what, as soon as you plug them in front of the screen, their brain shuts off. It's so much better if you engage in activities with them, whether you work together or play together, whether it's academic, creative, or sport related. Do something with the children and then discuss what you're doing, discuss the problems that you're solving, and take on projects together as a group. Now, what about that discipline? Really, those skills of self-government, those 4 basic skills, following instructions, accepting no answers and criticism, accepting consequences, and disagreeing appropriately are the root of it all. If a person can do those 4 basic skills, that actually takes care of 99% of their behavioral problems. And if they learn how to give themselves instructions, themselves no answers, correct themselves, and disagree appropriately with other people, then they are already more mature, more motivated, ready ready to solve problems, they will actually be able to keep themselves in line and on task at school. Staying on task is probably one of the hardest parts of school, that and probably time management. So if a person learns how to give themselves no answers and give themselves instructions, then boom, they can stay on task and they can do time management. Of course, there's still some developmental things to consider when we're deciding how quickly someone should learn how to do their own time management fully, but even so, we can always be working in that direction. Great parents give their children chores, routines, responsibilities, work time, playtime, project time. They work alongside them, they bond, they create a good relationship. If the parent has a good relationship with the child and they regularly do things together, the child will be able to create a better relationship with teachers and with the curriculum, because in order to learn anything, it requires a good relationship. So the beautiful thing about teaching your children to work and to serve the family and to be part of the family unit, to be united, is that not only are you preparing them for success in school, but you're also preparing them for life success and family success. Did you know that you can actually decrease conflict as you learn the skills and principles of self-government that are also going to be beneficial for helping you in school? If you want to learn more about stopping conflict at your house, then join me in my next video called How to Overcome Family Conflict. I'll see you there.